You're recording? Is that what you're doing, Jacob?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Great. Let's see. We have a full agenda.
Hey, guys.
This is great. Okay. And so everyone else has their cameras off. They're all muted, but they're all shy, but that's okay.
Hopefully that won't be the case soon, guys.
Let's see. Oh, and then the soundboard, of
It's
course.
okay to be shy.
Yes. All right.
I try doing that sometimes when I'm alone, just to prime myself up.
Makes you happy, right? It does.
Yeah.
Bingo. Bingo.
That's great.
Oh, man.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I think while we're waiting, hey, Nepo, you were the one with the fun joke, I believe. Want to tell us more?
We were laughing.
All right, actually, I was going to dress up for this. I forgot.
Oh.
I dressed for the occasion.
Smooth like butter.
And it actually, it worked with the other.
That's really good.
It worked.
What is how does the soundboard thing work? So I press a button, like press like numbers.
Yep.
Okay.
Press S.
You can S
number.
plus number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this could go very, very, very poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Nepo? What's up, Raphael? What's up, Yvonne? So
This can get chaotic though. I've been in sessions where we couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, when you make the soundboard free for all, then that's
Can be a bit tricky.
I feel like we've done that, have we not? I think we have.
Yeah,
so
we have.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, we'll give it another minute or so and then drop in. Oh, look at that. We got Patrick. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this. We got whole crew showing up.
It's very solid. It's very solid.
Yeah.
This is great. But do you want to share the link to the product hunt? Wow, look at all these folks.
Yes. Let me share.
Where does that go? Is there a chat thing or a whiteboard or chat? There's the chat. Got it. Thanks, Raphael.
Put it also here.
Oh, nice. Oh, how did you do that? I'm still learning how to use this platform.
Just flip through the agenda, but I also put it on chat, guys, if you want to check it out. That's cool.
Wow.
If you haven't already shown a little bit of support, then
Now is the time.
now's the time. Yeah. Yep. Raphael, there's a whiteboard. Oh no.
I'm gonna. What if I make a whiteboard? Is everyone in my whiteboard now?
Everyone's in your whiteboard.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone's in your whiteboard.
Look at this. Wow. This is madness.
It is madness. It is madness. But it's happy madness.
I'm gonna go back. Okay.
I think we can start now in a bit.
Yeah. Let's get started. Okay, so I think if you guys have anything that you want to say or add, you can feel free to unmute. I think everyone has the ability to chat. Is that right, Jessica?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, and so we've got a few folks from Butter who are here, who are helping me not get super overwhelmed, which I suppose is probably the best way to play with Butter. The Butter jokes are just going to keep on coming. Yeah, there's chat, which you guys can see on the left-hand side, or I think you can just use C perhaps. There's a whole agenda. I mean, basically this is designed to be a little bit of a fun session, showing you guys the way in which I use Alfred, which is this productivity tool for the Mac. If you are not a Mac user, then you may, there are sort of competitors, I guess, on the Windows side, but I can't really guide you in any of that. Jessica, do you want to sort of introduce the platform first, and then I can dive in?
Definitely. I'll just introduce a bit about the platform, but essentially we're Butter. We're trying to make virtual workshops much better than live ones. And as you can see, just in the bit of the things that you saw earlier, there's a lot of fun and delightful stuff you can actually play around with here. So we've essentially brought the power of integrations and the fun that you can have with things like chat, sounds, reactions into one sort of slick and more human package. I think Chris can actually explain it much better since he's our CPO. But essentially, Chris, you want to take it on? that's a bit about on the brand side, I guess. Chris?
I could say a lot of things about it. I think, is there anything in particular you would want me to focus on, Jess, on like different types of features or?
Okay. Maybe we can go through the features later, guys.
Yes,
so you
I
can
think
actually
that's
see it in
a
action.
great
That's
idea.
much better. But essentially, the whole idea today is for you to actually see the platform in action, and also obviously like hear Chris what Chris has to say when it comes to the Alfred hacks, as well as ask him all the questions that you want to have. But in Butter, what you'll be able to see today is essentially some of the fun things that you can do in online workshops and how you can bring it to the next level. And in terms of what you should be seeing, so you've already seen the things like the whiteboard. So everything that can help you make your sessions a lot more collaborative in one interface is what we actually offer. Because for us, it's this is just one example, right? One of the pain points we were actually trying to solve was one, the fact that for a lot of workshop facilitators and people who hold online training sessions and courses, it's so hard to actually hold one because you need to scramble between tools. So based on our interviews and based on the sessions that we've ran, you need anywhere between 3 to 7 tools open in one go, and it can be really overwhelming to actually manage all these different tools in one session. And instead of, as a host, like let's say for me, instead of focusing on the sessions I'm meant to be guiding, all I end up doing is actually playing tech support and scrambling between tools every so often. So that's sort of the first pain point we're addressing. The second pain point is something around the fact that online, whether it be workshops, trainings, or some of the meetings you've sat in, it's so hard to keep the energy up. Like it can feel very, very dead at times. And it almost feels like you're just talking to a sea of black tiles, some of which I'm seeing here today. But just these are like, workshops are meant to be fun. They're meant to be inspiring. And it's very hard to do that if you can't feed off of the energy of people. So with Butter, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring the energy back, and we're trying to make collaboration and interactive much better for you guys. That's it. A bit about Butter. I'll turn over to Chris, who has his handy dandy hat to take it away for us.
I do. So again, like hopefully those of you who are here have some awareness of what Alfred is. For those who don't, that's totally fine. I'm going to just jump in, start sharing my screen. If you guys want to add anything in the chat or something, I will try to pay attention to that as well, but we'll see if that's possible. I'm going to start by sharing a window. Let's see how this goes. Okay. And this will just try to get everyone kind of on the same page in terms of what we're thinking about and talking about today and how I use this software. So first, as I mentioned, Alfred is a launcher for the Mac. I can't remember exactly when it first came out, but I want to say, it started maybe in 2014 or sometime around there. There's a whole lineage of these products before, but this is the one that I found once I dug into it last year during the pandemic, just kind of worked with the way that I think about and use, I guess, software. And really it's about accelerating your productivity by giving you a way to quickly activate and get to the stuff that you use. If you already use Spotlight Search or Siri Search, then you're kind of already familiar with this type of software. But Alfred has a bunch of features that allow you to go much deeper. First, just the thing that you want to set is your command hotkey. So this Alfred hotkey, oops, I got to press this button over here. Typically I've used Command Space in the past. I now actually use an app called Carabiner, which allows you to override your keyboard keys. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I actually now use Caps Lock to launch Alfred since I wasn't really using that key for anything else. But so once you get that set, it just becomes like muscle memory and you just kind of use it constantly. The primary use case, as I mentioned, for Alfred is just to search, like whether it's searching for contacts, searching for apps, searching for any kind of other materials or things like that are on your system. And you can control what is visible with different search result filters, as well as types and like file searching. So that you get a lot of configuration there. One of the things that a lot of people get benefit out of is the clipboard manager. So, typically if you use a computer as it is, you get one copy and paste kind of shot, right? And so you're constantly copying one thing and then you're hitting the destination and that's it. With a clipboard manager, you get a buffer. What that means is that essentially everything that you copy gets stored in a temporary space so that you can refer back to it and use features of Alfred to search over your clipboard history to then paste things very quickly. I find that I do this constantly, especially for links that I want to share to multiple places and so forth. But the real power of Alfred comes in the workflows. And if you've used or heard of software called Shortcuts for the Mac or for iOS, or if you use something like Zapier on the web, those are different types of like workflow-based or workflow-driven apps that allow you to connect a bunch of different like inputs into outputs and to make transformations. And we're going to get into that a little bit deeper pretty soon. However, in order to use workflows and a bunch of the other really nice features, you will need to get a Power Pack license, which I think might be 40 or 50 bucks for in one fell swoop. But you're really getting kind of dozens of applications all built into one. So that's one reason why you would want to go for that Power Pack license. It's certainly, given me an enormous amount of value and productivity that highly makes it worthwhile. So some of the features that are included in this, and by the way, I don't work for Alfred. I don't have a relationship with them. I'm just a user. But I find that I want to be able to share the things that I've learned with other folks because I didn't know these things before, and I wish I really did. So like I said, clipboard history, you get snippets and auto expansion. If you use software called Keyboard Maestro, that is software that will allow you to record macros or, for example, like your address. And so you can use little key commands to quickly type out or paste information in. I have snippets, for example, for like my routing number for my bank, for like my phone number, for my name, for all of my social profiles. And I'll show you how some of that stuff works as well. You can, of course, control music playback. There's actually this incredible, it's the most complex workflow I've ever seen that's built for Spotify. So Alfred comes with Apple's music player pre-installed, but there are a bunch of free workflows out there for controlling other types of apps and music playback. Like I said, workflows, you can search your contacts. You can run shell and terminal commands right from Alfred, which can be pretty handy. Custom themes, which I'll show you in a sec. It also integrates with 1Password, so you can very quickly get to websites and log in. And you can also sync and back up your settings, either with iCloud or personally, I use Dropbox. And so, as I mentioned, themes, one of the things that I love to do is to make these themes. I feel like I'm sort of going back and dating myself with like the Winamp era, but I just find that the default look and feel of Alfred is not very good. And so let me see if I can send you guys this link. This is a link to the themes that I've designed and they're all stored and free on GitHub. You might need some fonts to get to them, but there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. And so anyways, one little quick trick here is that if you want to have Alfred respond to the light and dark mode settings of Mac OS, what you can do is you can first choose your light mode theme, and then I'll actually show you there's a workflow for toggling into dark mode. And then once you're in dark mode, you choose a different theme, and then Alfred will actually switch modes when the operating system changes themes. So I did not realize that, and it's pretty handy. Raphael asks, how does Alfred impact overall performance, which I presume means system performance? And if that's the case, I would say not very much at all. One of the things that is very impressive about Alfred is that it's really efficient, it's fast, it's designed to be super fast, and it's designed to not really tax your system. I would say it also makes use of the Spotlight index, which is the same index that Spotlight Search and Siri use. So as long as that's been up to date, and that's probably the thing that's going to take the most or have the biggest impact on your system, then that'll be fine. Very nice. Yes. So that's another thing. If you are using Alfred, you can just launch it and then type in a web address and then go there directly. Okay. What else? Okay. So you can get the app, you can get the Power Pack on alfredapp.com. So if you don't have it right now, that's where you can get it. You can download a free trial and just sort of get the basics. Now let's get into how I actually kind of use Alfred personally. So one of the most important things, and I think if you're a developer or work with developers, ever seen developers work, one of the things that you want to get in the habit of, and this is true of other apps like Superhuman, is that you want to basically keep your hands on the keyboard as much as possible. You want to not switch modes between a trackpad or a mouse. That's why it says here the mouse is lava. You want to pretend as though you can't touch the mouse. And so therefore you want to be able to execute everything purely from hitting a couple keystrokes in order to launch an app, in order to get to a service that you're trying to interact with, you're trying to search, whatever it might be. That's just something that you want to be thinking about as a first principle. The other thing that I've learned, and where I've gotten the most value out of Alfred, is really in learning the basics of building workflows in Alfred and then adapting those workflows to the things that I do on a regular basis. So essentially, this is one of the reasons why shortcuts as an application is interesting, because it's really about automating repetitive tasks that you do over and over and over again. But in order to figure out what workflows to build, you have to become a student of your own behavior and how you spend your time and what you find yourself doing a lot. So paving the cow paths is the concept from primarily software design, where you kind of observe how people actually behave, as opposed to designing a system where the way that you want them to behave. An example of this would be, for example, where I went to university, there were of course these beautiful walkways that were paved in concrete, and right across, right in the middle of the grass, from one end to the other was the most efficient route. And so therefore, Nima, you're welcome, Nima. Nima is in Iran, so he always has a little bit of like internet connectivity challenges. And so anyways, what would happen was, of course, the students would walk directly across the lawn, creating this essentially cow path, this dirt path. And so that was where people were actually going with their feet, as opposed to the ones that the site planners had designed. And so in a similar way, you sort of watch yourself and you're like, wow, I keep doing this over and over again. What is a faster, simpler way for me to achieve the same tasks? And the thing that I've also learned, and I'm not a programmer, I'm not an engineer. I've worked with technical people all through my life, but for whatever reason, it's like learning foreign languages. I kind of get the gist, but I'm not really fluent. In that sense, I am not a kind of person that can program complex scripts with Alfred, but I figured out ways of making it work to serve my purpose, to really enhance my productivity. I mean, I'll show you some examples of that, but one is just building simple web searches. And I have an entire large collection that actually I'll share with you guys. It was broken earlier, so I don't know if it's still working, but you can try. Maybe it's fixed now. If you go there, I've got a bunch of custom web searches, and I also have published icons. Like it's sort of, this is my OCD kind of kicking in for all those searches, and I'll show you how that works. But basically, it makes it really, really easy for me to execute searches against all the platforms that I use on a regular basis, and that includes, Instagram, that includes Twitter, especially. I have a whole Twitter thing in this, and actually looking at books or YouTube movies. So if you're doing any searches on lots of different websites, Alfred is a great way to just really make it fast to get into those things. And then, like I mentioned before, with snippets and auto expansion, just being able to very quickly type your address or type your web address for things, and I'll show you how that works, can really speed up a lot of time. And so ultimately, like what I've tried to do, and if you move outside of just my Alfred themes and you look at some of the repository of my other Alfred toolkits, what I've started to do is kind of package up those workflows and then release them as little mini apps or mini products. I'm like, well, if it works for me, then maybe there's other people that would find benefit from this. And so I'm essentially trying to take my productivity gains and then socialize them or share them with other people. One of the things that I use constantly is my Twitter toolkit, and really it just makes it very easy for me to search because I use Twitter an awful lot. Another is there's a new TLD, which is a new domain extension called .new. And there's a bunch of these that have been created. And so I decided I would just create a really fast way of creating new cloud documents with creating a keyword in a workflow. So if I type new into Alfred, there's a whole list of apps that I can quickly launch just from there. Okay, so I'm going to pause and stop sharing my screen. And then I'm going to see what types of questions or thoughts people have right now. If you have any questions, just feel free to unmute. I didn't see too many. Yes, Cheska, you have a question.
More showing that guys, you can also use the queue. So if instead of just piping up, you can try to pipe up.
Oh, right, the queue. There's a little hand that's like this. Yes, you can use the queue. If not, okay, Thomas has a question. Great.
Yeah, awesome Chris. I've been an Alfred user for quite a while, but I realize now that I've only really used it for very simple things. I was just curious to ask, installing the themes from your GitHub, is that hard to do, or how do you actually go about installing?
No, it's amazingly simple. Let me see. So what I'll do, because I know I've been very kind of like high level abstract so far. I do want to get into Alfred and actually showing you like how this stuff works. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to share my screen. And I know Nima is also a PC user, and so he also has that. I'm not holding it against him, but he just, that's one thing that means that he can't really benefit from Alfred in the same way that some of us Mac folks can. Okay, so I'll show you a couple things. So the first question that Thomas had was around the themes, and so let me pull up. Let me see.
I can't believe you're not using Alfred to go there, man.
That's a very, very excellent point. Thank you for calling me out on that. Okay, so I'm going to pop over to. Oh man. Okay, guys, I see how it's going to be. It's going to be tough, huh? So I've got a lot of themes, so I might end up like duplicating this. But essentially, if you go to, like, for example, my synthwave theme, and then you go to, so look for releases over on the right hand side. Yeah, Wux is the Windows Alfred sort of competitor. Oh yeah, and there's Rome, there's Notion, there's a bunch of really great stuff. You'll find in here, a zip file where you can just like hit that, and that'll basically download. It's a very small .alfred theme file, and if I open that, let's see how this goes. It's going slowly, so what's happening? Anyways, you'd be able to open that file and double click it and then install it. So it's very, very easy and simple. I'm not gonna, I mean, I guess, yeah, let me see. If I go to downloads here. Okay, so it's right here. Okay, interesting. So archive utility is having a hard problem. Welcome to Big Sur 11.3. Okay, so now I go into here. And so in this case, I actually have two versions of this. So I double click this, then it'll just ask if I want to import that. And now this is my theme. So
amazing. That's amazing, Chris.
One thing again to point out is that okay, let's see how this works. So I'm going to launch, so I use an app called FontBase to basically manage all my fonts. I have lots of fonts. The beautiful thing about Alfred themes is that if you do have great fonts that you really love, you can actually customize your theme to use fonts that you own or that are on your machine. So what I've done in this case, let's see if I change this around. So there's Dropbox here, and this is using, I think, so if you right click on the text, you'll see what the font is. Okay, my computer's like freaking out because I'm live streaming. That's what's happening. Apologies. Let's see. Come on. Well, in any case, eventually once my fonts load, maybe that's the problem. Thank you. Welcome. Yes, thank you.
It's all the PC folks that are picking on you now, Chris.
It really is there. Okay, so come on, you can do it.
I really like Nima. He's a cool guy.
I realize what's happening is that because I have, okay, there we go. So this is using a font called Atlas Grotesque, which is the Dropbox font. And so I can choose to change it to something else if I wanted to. That's all I was trying to show. The problem and why that was so slow is because I have like 10,000 fonts installed. And so it's a little bit absurd and ridiculous, but I'm a big font geek. So I'm going to go back to, I like my Google font. Or my Google text. I like this view. So anyways, that's that. I wanted to quickly get into the workflows though. Oh, let me show you one more thing first. I mentioned the web searches. So these are all my web searches. So I have a lot. So Alfred by default comes with maybe like 10 or 12. But this allows me to like just search all sorts of different things. And I apologize that this is actually very small. I don't think I can actually make this bigger. By that, I mean like zoomed in or zoomed out. So for example, if I do this and Unsplash, I want to search Unsplash for something. I can say R2D2, let's say. Now I'm instantly jumping into a search on Unsplash for in this case, R2D2. So it's a lot faster than having to go to like a website and then perform the search. And so that's what that Pori link was that I shared earlier. Okay, cool. Let me go into the workflows here. So one of the ones that I wanted to create for you live, and we'll see how this goes, was actually one for GitHub, because I want to show you how I built these things. So one that I've done recently, there's a bunch of them actually. One would be maybe, okay, well, okay, I'll show you product hunt. Okay, so product hunt. If I say hunt as the keyword and then butter, I've actually built, or actually I didn't build it, but my friend Nate built it, a search that will actually search product hunt and pull back results immediately. There's also the ability to use keyboard modifiers like option or command. And so what this does is this shows you like the number of votes on each of these things when I hold, in this case, option, or if I hold command, it'll tell me like the website. So it'll take me directly there. What are the yellow stars? The yellow stars are people who are featured, I think, or spotlighted. And I'll show you how this actually is set up. And I apologize if this gets a little bit complex quickly, but this is what that workflow looks like that enables that product hunt search. What it does is basically, as I use the keyword hunt, it's running a script. And I'm not going to get into scripts right now, but just know that that's what's happening. So when I use that keyword, it's actually hitting that workflow and then bringing back results. This is the toolkit, or the product hunt toolkit that I made. And what this does is it basically allows me to do a couple things. So if I want to search, let's say for Cheska, I could search makers as the keyword. So you'll see, oops, right here, this keyword right here is just a keyword. And so Alfred is looking for that word to be typed. And then it says, well, what do you want me to do with this? And so what I did was I created a connection between here and opening a link. And this link will execute a search on product hunt. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if I want to find Cheska, say this and then Cheska, what this will do is this will search for people, users on product hunt. That sort of makes sense. So the idea is like very quickly, like, so if I want to find Nima, you just search for his name. And then what that does is it fills in the link with, now I guess this is not the Nima. Oh, there's the famous Nima right there. It just fills in the link for you. And so you can move very quickly through this stuff. Now, for example, if I wanted to find all my tweets announcing all the new Spotify features that I found, what I've been doing is I've been tagging my tweets with hashtag new Spotify. And so the way that works for me is I've created a keyword called my, and this keyword works across a bunch of my different workflows and toolkits. So they're additive. In other words, you can overload a keyword to search across multiple different, well, to basically do a bunch of things. So if I say new Spotify, and that's the term that I want to search for, you can see that I can search for that word all across a bunch of different services. In my case, I want to find my latest tweets that have that tag. So if I execute that, that's now creating a, what is it, like a contextual search that'll only pull up my stuff. Wow, it's really slow today. Okay, so see how that kind of works? So what this allows you to do is basically to like really quickly gain access to your own content and media very, very quickly and efficiently. All right, so let me just see where you guys are at, because I know I'm like diving in super deep, like, and this is like the 201 level as opposed to the basics, but how are you guys feeling about this so far? Okay, I'm seeing some brain emojis, I'm seeing, okay, some hands. Okay, you guys are like following along. This is great. One of the things that I think I'm trying to do for you is just show you like my insanity and like how I kind of occupy the world and move throughout it, so that maybe you can pick up some ideas along the way and just be inspired, because I know we're probably running a little bit low on time. I want to show you very quickly how I build these toolkits that I have. And I have a bunch. So if I go back to my workflows and I search or I filter my toolkits, you can see that I've made a bunch of them already. This is my Twitter toolkit. And so you can see how complex this gets. I'm going to zoom out. Actually, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to make my window bigger, and then I'm going to, yeah. So this is insanity. What this allows me to do is to basically traverse the entire Twitter experience using just keywords. And then what I can do is, for example, if I wanted to create a new tweet, then I can say new tweet with text, I am insane. And it's not going to post that, fortunately. It's going to go directly to what's called an intent. And so essentially, I'm just hacking URLs that are out there that anybody can use, but that people haven't really put together in this type of way, right? So there you go. So I could totally tweet this if I wanted to, but for now, I'm not going to. Okay, so here's what I'm going to try to do. And again, I apologize that the Zoom is, let's see. Okay, cool. Jacob, yes. So again, this whole, so what I'm showing, like, obviously is about Alfred, but we are here today, of course, to sort of celebrate and show off Butter too. So cool, Annette. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so these are all my toolkits that I've built so far. And what I do is I just, like, once I notice that I've been going to a website a lot and like using the features, it means that I should probably build a workflow to really speed up my process. So what I wanted to do today was actually show you how I do this, and I'm going to do it for GitHub because I haven't built one of these yet. And so what I would like to be able to do is essentially traverse, like, to go to my pull requests, to go to issues, to go to my repositories very quickly. I do have a workflow right now for GitHub that will simply do a search. This is a very, very simple workflow. What it allows you to do is to search for a different repo. So for example, if I wanted to say GitHub, search for GitHub repo, let's say, Alfred Workflows. This will actually do the search in Alfred itself. So now this is using some programming to basically hit the GitHub API and to pull back results, or at least it should. There we go. It's a little bit slow. But so you can see basically there's a bunch of them in here that I could find this way. I'm going to create a workflow for GitHub. What I'm going to do is I have this template folder, and I'm going to duplicate this. I might actually share this later. I've never really shown this before. So if this is useful, you guys let me know. Thanks, Deborah. Let's see. Okay, wow. Everything is really slow today. Okay, great. So I'm going to call this GitHub Toolkit. And this is basically an empty toolkit that I've created. And so I'm just going to open this up. And double clicking on one of these workflow files will automatically kind of bring up the installation, which has happened. It'll allow me to install it here. Wow. I don't know why that's not installing. I think what's happening is Dropbox is fighting me now. Now, first it was the Windows people, and now it's Dropbox. Briefly, what is my new tab extension? Okay, Carl, I'm actually using a browser called Sidekick. So Sidekick is available at meetsidekick.com. It is a browser I do like Sidekick. Yes, I like, Jacob, I like your face. So I was using Chrome for a long time, and then it turned out that the tab suspension, the great tab suspender, I think, had malware in it. And that was the tool that I was using to basically make it so that Chrome wouldn't kill my system. But Sidekick actually has a lot of advanced memory management features in it. And so I find that it's actually quite efficient. And it's got a couple of nice features. So yeah, exactly. So watch this. If I do hunt Sidekick, from here, this will search, let's see, where is it? There, Sidekick browser. And if I were to hold down the command, you can see that the website comes up. And what that will do is that'll actually take me directly to the Sidekick website from Product Hunt. Oh. So again, you can see like why these things are actually super useful. Nima, yes. Make the screen share full screen. Will it pause? That's a question I think for Cheska or Jacob. But yeah, I imagine that full screen might use a little more bandwidth. Anyways, so getting back to this. Go ahead. Yeah.
I can. No, if it's full screen on PowerPoint, you just won't you won't be able to see the people. But if you're sharing on Google Chrome, it should be fine. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I've just imported that toolkit. It's got the basics for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click. Let's see, toolkit template here. So this allows me to edit the metadata of that workflow. So I'm going to call this the GitHub toolkit. I'm going to just put that here. And this is, you don't actually need to worry about this for now. I'm not going to worry about that. And what I want to do, so what I'm going to show you are two different techniques, and then I'll wrap it up. So this is basically what I do, right? So I'm like, oh, I use GitHub a lot. I should probably build a little workflow for this. Okay, so I create a new workflow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a keyword here just called GitHub. It seems straightforward. And I'm going to say, what I could do is I could just say, go to my profile, go to my GitHub. And actually, we want to turn off, there's no argument, and great. So now let's see if that works. So if I type GitHub here, you can see it says go to GitHub profile, but it doesn't do anything. It's not hooked up to anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say action and then open URL, right? So these are different things that essentially your workflow, you trigger it with a keyword, and then you have it execute some command. And for me, this is my, let me see if I have it. So all I did was I pasted that link in. Now, even if I do this now and I say go to profile, it's not going to work because I haven't linked them up. So what I do is just drag from this to this. And now when I hit this, it'll open up to my profile. So does that sort of like make sense how we're sort of connecting one block to another? That's the basic unit of work within the workflow process. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit more sophisticated, which is use something that's called a list filter. Now this is really where I get a lot of my productivity. So I'm going to create an input, which is a list filter. So just under inputs and list filter, what language would I prefer? Well, since I don't really code, not many. I use Python sometimes, actually. And also you can use bash scripts and let's see. That's like cool. Okay, so this is a list filter. There's really like nothing in this yet, but there will be soon. And what's really interesting about list filters is that they allow you to drop a CSV file. Okay, so this is where this is all going to come together and you're like, wait, what did I just see? But I'm going to try to go through this quickly because I know we have limited time. This is simply a numbers, like a spreadsheet file. Let me see. Okay. So what I've done is I've created basically an empty table where there is a title, a subtitle, and an argument. Now you'll notice that those three pieces of data map to, let me create an empty item here, to title, subtitle, and argument. So the way that it's going to work is I could say, okay, go to my GitHub profile, and then I'll use the same argument as before. Now, if I hit save, and what I'll have to do is actually, there's a little bit of a trick. You take this and you use what's called the query. So what this does is this passes information from the previous workflow block into the next block. So it's just sort of passing all the things through. And I'm going to connect these two together, and I'm going to get rid of this first thing that I created. Now when I say GitHub, oh, did I do it wrong? I did do it wrong. What happened? Oh, with space. If I say with space. There, okay. So now I just have to type something else in order to trigger that list item. Oh wow, I'm making this, okay. Let me do something different. I'm just gonna use GH. GH is not taken, cool. GH will be my list filter. Okay, now here's where I wanna get to, because this is the most important and the most useful thing. So I'm gonna take these links, and I'm not gonna go into that right now. I'm gonna say this is pull requests, and then issues. What I'm doing is I'm taking the navigation of GitHub and I'm putting it into this, and I think notifications is probably another one that I want. Yeah. Putting them into this spreadsheet. This is the last step, by the way. So once I'm done with this, you guys will know all my secrets, and then we can have a conversation. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to export this as a CSV. And I'm going to pull this up here. Okay. So I understand if this is a little bit confusing, but essentially what I've done is I've now exported that list. Where did it go? Did it not save? Where did I send it to? Oh my God. This is so embarrassing. Wait, it's there. It's there. Look at that. Tell what is going on here, guys. Help me out. This is Finder. This is list filter.
The void is being filled, Chris. You know, there's no
Well, I
auto
hope that was-
silences on Butter.
That was definitely Halo. Okay. I feel like I'm on. I need the help of Cortana here. Okay, let me see why. Okay, I have an idea. This is I'm kind of what's it called? Doing some weird corner thing. What? Oh, I'm in Finder again. Oh my God, do I even know how to computer? I don't even know, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. If I say next, will this allow me to do it? It's not going to allow me to do it. I know it's not. Okay, let me see. GitHub. Yes. Okay. Thankfully. All right, so here we have our CSV file. Thank you. And now I'm going to drag and drop that CSV file into that list filter. Now, we don't need this first one. This is just the title of the table, so we're going to get rid of that one. But now we've got a bunch of other values that have automatically been filled in based on that CSV file. So rather than doing each one of these manually, I just maintain one numbers file, and then I can expand that support over time. So now if I say GH and space, I think, yes, okay. Okay, what was issues, right? Issues. Okay, so what's annoying about this is that I have to guess at what the title of the link is. What I really want to do is I want to say that the argument is, let's say there's no option, there's no argument. So the argument basically would be whatever text I type after the keyword. I just want those options to appear for me. So if I say launch this and I say GH, now you can see I've pulled up all of those different menu items from here. And if I want, I can just open them up and it'll go to my pull request automatically. So very quickly, that was designed to sort of show you how you can build a very fast workflow that makes it easy for you to traverse a service that you use frequently. Now, what's an example of this? An example of this is I made one of these for Amazon. And so within Amazon, I can now go to my orders, message center, my shopping cart. I can go to my devices. I can go to my privacy settings. Like all these things are now available to me because of how much I use Amazon as a service. I did the same thing for Pinterest. So I can go and now access a bunch of my Pinterest services, right? So whatever it is that you want to build these for, let me see what else I have. I built one for Facebook. I think actually it's FB. Yeah. So quickly I can search for posts, for photos, videos, go to Marketplace. Whatever it is that has a link on the web, you can build a workflow for. I did the same thing for Instagram. So I can go to my push notifications. I can go to, I can explore. I can go to my profile. I use DM as a way to get to my Twitter messages, Instagram messages, Facebook messages, all of those. So it's just a very fast way of traversing all the different services that you use, and you're building workflows to support all that. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and open it up for questions. Okay, that was a lot. Thank you guys for sticking around so far. Jessica, yes, it is madness. Okay, if you guys want to use the queue, feel free. Any thoughts? Any other workflows or ideas?
I've been using the Alfred app on iPad and iPhone, and it's a great way to launch things faster as well as like a. It's not even a secondary screen. It's like a mission control kind of thing. It's also really, really nice.
That's awesome. I don't have. Do you have an iPad Pro? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't have one of those yet, but someday maybe I will. But for desktop use, it's super efficient. I guess actually, if you use like a keyboard alongside your iPad, then it works just as well. How do I open a reply to chat messages? Oh, you just tap on it, right? Yeah, seems like it. Okay. Anything? Let's see. Give me a call if you need some help. Oh, Carl, you're gonna make some like stuff for me. Wait, is Carl still here? I don't know if I see him. Oh, he is. Okay, cool. All right, Carl. You'll have to drop me a DM and let me know, and then you can build some apps and scripts for me. You can build one for Butter. Actually, what I want for Butter is I want to take that soundboard and I want to make it available to me via Alfred. So I'm not sure exactly what that would take, but that's what I want. Right? Is my audio not working or there? Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. Everyone's
We're
awake.
actually designing workflows for Butter. So the future Butter will allow you to set up, full workflows for the entire workshop up front, and then you just run them.
Exactly. I mean, and actually, so have you guys on the Butter side thought about adding sort of like a launcher, like the ability to like do a Command K or something and kind of, enable features? Yes, I see. I'm running ahead of you guys, aren't I?
Chris,
we'd love to add something like that. We have been toying a bit with the, like, at least on a conceptual level. Yeah. But also just having been inspired by many of the other tools that we've seen in the last like couple of years that have approached it in a similar way. So yeah, definitely that would be like, we definitely see like the facilitator or the whoever's in charge of a session like being the power user, and if you could essentially facilitate your entire session directly from the keyboard, that would be like pretty amazing. So yeah, definitely something that would be cool to add.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Yeah, I think whether you guys built it in natively into Butter or you make a workflow for Alfred or whatever it is, like it's kind of like more or less all the same APIs roughly once you get authentication working. So cool. Any other? Oh, Thomas. Yes. Let's see. Let's give Thomas.
Yeah. Just on that note, I was just thinking if it's all based on URLs anyway.
Yeah.
Like all the workflows. Surely I could just build one for my Butter room, like my Butter room URL, and just be like open Tommy's Lounge, open that room.
So actually, that's exactly the point, right? Like if you build, if you have multiple rooms, then you could essentially create a list filter for your Butter rooms, right? And so within that list filter, you could have, as many of those rooms as you want. And I mean, the thing that like is worth thinking about with Alfred is that if you are a programmer, you can actually generate those CSV files that the list filter works off of automatically. I don't know how to do that. I'm not that smart. So I'm doing it manually, like with an Excel spreadsheet basically. But if you have the ability to like download your list of rooms that are associated with your account and automatically have that data stored as like a CSV file in the Alfred workflow, and there are ways to do that, then you could just automatically and dynamically refresh the rooms that either you're part of or that you're in.
I love that idea. Yeah.
So like if you just have like Butter as your keyword, right, then it can just fetch it, just like I showed you with my product hunt workflow. So actually, I'm going to share my screen one more time because there's another really good workflow that I use. Let me share. Let's see. I'm going to have to share my entire screen. Yeah. Okay. Pull this over here again. So one of the workflows that I use is for a service called PodLink. And what PodLink is essentially it's like a podcast search. I listen to a ton of podcasts and then I want to share links to them. So for example, if I wanted to get to like the Pivot podcast, I would just launch Alfred and type pod and then Pivot. And what this does is I just like hit enter on this. And what it does is essentially executing that script and it's pulling up the Pivot podcast. Now, what's really great about this is that this allows me to go one level deeper. So I found the Pivot podcast. If I hit enter, it'll allow me to then open that podcast show on podcast. I'm sorry, on PodLink or on any of the other services. I think let me see. Let me do this again. Let's say Sway. I think if you use a modifier key, oops, I did it wrong again. Oh, another key tip on Alfred that I didn't know until just recently was if you launch Alfred and you hit the up key, then it'll do your previous searches. So you can go between them. So I'm just hitting up and it's like returning me to the last things that I searched for. I wanted to see if I stay in this workflow. Okay. And then if I hit, so if I hit option, it's showing me some information about the podcast. I thought there was a way to browse episodes, but maybe there's not. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. And Okay. All of it is to say that you could basically do, I'm going to stop sharing now. You do the same thing for Butter Rooms, where you could sort of get a list that's pulled down dynamically and then see what's actually happening or trending live. That's all I want to really show there. Okay, let's see. Okay, there was a request about the breakouts, but I don't know if you guys want to do that right now or not. Yeah, I think Raphael wanted to see that.
I think we can do it after the session unless everyone wants to see it. Okay.
Yeah, unless there's any other thoughts or questions. Happy. You guys, I think have gone way over. I think way over the scheduled time. I'm not really sure, but
maybe just one question for all of you guys, just to pay attention.
Yeah, nice.
Let's put a timer on as well.
Make sure people hear it. I love that it's the Halo sound. Three out of 15. All right, we got 12 more people. Who else is gonna answer this question? I got 30 seconds. 30 seconds to make your voice known. The other people have just checked out and they're like having lunch or something. So they turn it on. They're like, okay, I'll just have this on in the background. Which is totally fine. Okay. One more. Anybody else? With 7 seconds left.
Carl, I think you made a typo.
Carl's
and yours supposed to be the other way around, I think.
Funniest one. Okay.
Did I miss it? Oh, I
no.
See. Okay.
I think that's it, actually.
Great. Oh, there we go. Oh, I see. Yep. Good. Yes. Oh, I would be so happy if you guys went and got my themes. And even needs a Mac. It's just the default look of Alfred is just it's so unfortunate. And I feel like it works against it so much because it does give you actually quite a bit of. I could do a whole theming workshop. But it gives you enough control to make something that looks good. And so it's just a bummer that doesn't have that. Okay, cool. Any final thoughts, questions, or anything like that? And then if you want to do the demo, Jessica, that's totally fine by me.
I'd be happy to. But any questions, guys, before we end? Nepo seems to be gearing up for a question.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to see, I do have a longer workshop that was a live stream that I did, I think last fall. It's on my Super Pure profile. So it gets into a lot of the stuff and you can watch this again. I think it does a better job of kind of introducing the material, whereas this is a little bit more haphazard. So, but Nepo, did you have a question?
I didn't really have a question, but I guess connected to that is how long did it take you to build the skills with Alfred? Was it something little by little, or did you do some intensive deep dive and got it all out of the way?
That's such a good question. Because when I started last year, I would say that I was aware of Alfred, but I had not gone deep yet. And again, it just was a process of being in the pandemic and being sheltered in place and not having the things that I would normally do that I realized okay, there's a lot of people who are starting to use, and this is actually when widgets launched, I think for iOS, there was this sense that shortcuts was going to be this really big deal. And I'd always been a long-term Alfred user, and there were all these workflows, but they were breaking. So several things were happening. One, I was noticing that Alfred wasn't working for me the way that it used to. So I had to go in and actually fix these things, right? It's you sort of inherit a car, but it's not really working. So, got to go into the engine and replace some things. So as a result of that, that gave me, I guess, the motivation to dive in and start unpacking the workflows and starting to see what was actually inside of them. And then that gave me some hints as to what was happening. The Alfred forum, although there's some salty characters there, will actually help you in learning. You just post questions and you have to first show that you kind of did a little bit of the work and, read the fucking manual, so to speak. And then they'll kind of give you some support. But it's sort of like going into like an old like sailor town or something, and like going to the bar, and like you've got to kind of earn your stripes. So it took a little while for me to earn that credibility, but now they will help me out from time to time. So it was a mix of that. It was having the motivation, being frustrated by things that were broken, realizing that the things that I could build were things that needed to not require scripting. And so I needed to learn how to brute force methods. And then over time, as I would share my workflows to the Alfred community, they would say, why did you do it that way? That's really inefficient. And I'd be like, oh. And then they would like show me things like the list filter. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So it was like just things like that. I would say it was like a lot of incremental like improvements, but then just the desire to really gain a little bit more mastery like over the software. And so many of the workflow or some of the tutorials that I saw on YouTube just didn't go deep enough. They'd sort of say, oh, you can like, use Alfred as a launcher and use it for clipboard and, kind of basic stuff that I already use other apps for. So it was really once people started to show me the workflows and I started to think about things from the shortcuts perspective that it was like, actually, there's really something in here and I really need to like learn this. So that was my journey. Yeah, it's very much like sort of I'm going to date myself, but Game Genie, for Nintendo. There's definitely a way of like getting it in there. Okay. Anything else before you guys want to like see the breakouts, just like for a moment or two? I appreciate you guys sticking around. Also, it's just fun for me to share this, Chris. Stuff, so yeah.
Just want to say thanks. It was amazing. Super insightful.
Thanks. Awesome. And if you guys have other tips or questions, feel free to reach out to me. Let me know.
But it's honestly like for me, who doesn't even know Alfred, it was mind blowing, man. The stuff that you can do.
I was gonna say, I mean, like given like the work that you do, Cheska, I would think that you would find Alfred super useful. So maybe now right?
No, it's like something I can build on. Thank you.
Awesome. Cheska's like a personal so Alfred. Much. She just does it as quickly as you would with Alfred. So it's
right. She's like super.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for that very nice visual. Well, any other questions, guys? But thank you so much, Chris, for giving this session. It was really like mind blowing. I think that's the best way to describe it. Thank you. And if no one else has questions, I think like we've run over time, so we'll definitely can let anyone.
Are there any more sessions today, or is this it for the workshops?
There still are actually. So there's one running right now. There is. Okay. And there's also 4 more over the course of the
day. Oh wow. Amazing.
We still haven't hit Australia or the Philippines yet, Chris. So it's
we have the full workshop program at like if you go to workshops.butter.us, you'll see the full program there.
Thank you. There.
Super cool. Okay, guys. Well, I'll leave you to it. Okay, thanks again for hosting me.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure, Chris.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll connect later. Thanks. Bye. Bye. Raphael, you can stay and then I'll show it to you.
I'll stick around for the demo as well.
No worries.